Welcome to the Be That Healing Girl podcast. And today on this episode, we're going to talk about how to stop trying so hard in your relationship because you're scared they'll stop loving you if you do. All right. And this episode is really going to land for you if you tend to put all of your effort, I mean, all of it, into the relationship. You often feel like you're carrying the weight of the relationship and the love. And really, if you were to stop, you tend to think, well, nothing would happen, right? Nothing would happen if I stopped. And at the end of the day, that is probably leaving you really tired of yourself, of the partner, maybe even the relationship. You're frustrated and probably highly likely you feel resentful. And at the end of the day, you also know that you're with a good partner, a safe partner that you love. So what's the deal, right? Because that love or relationship is starting to feel tense, right? Both of you are feeling tense and it feels really heavy. It feels really, really hard. And you know that about yourself, likely. You know that you work hard and maybe there's something going on there for you, but you just can't stop, right? Because if you stopped, nothing would happen. Am I right? So this episode, what I love about the podcast, why I do these episodes, it's really to help you see where you're stuck. And it's also why I made the Healing Girl Gang, because in the Healing Girl Gang, it's where you learn the process to get unstuck. All right. So that being said, let's dive into the episode. And if you're new here, my name is Claire. I love helping high achieving, high performing girlies who are doing so many great things in your career. You're climbing corporate ladders, you're killing it in the academics, you have letters behind your name, you're an entrepreneur, you're in finance, or you got real estate. Any and all of those might be happening in your external world, out there in your career and in what you see out in the world. But your inner world is really fraught. It's feeling really hard, really tense with your overthinking, your second guessing, you're spiraling. And while you are feeling a lot of anxiety, you want it to stop. I remember so clearly, I just wanted it to stop. I would have done anything. So if that is you, you're in the right spot. And thank you ahead of time for hitting the 5 stars on Spotify or Apple. It means so much. It is your way of giving me a high five and telling me that this episode or any of the episodes are resonating, especially if you're binging. If you're binging, I know y'all, okay? I know y'all. If you've binged and you haven't hit the 5 stars, dear girl is solid. Thank you for doing that. So update right now is that by the time this drops, I am in the middle of my recovery and I am getting such immaculate care from who other than head nurse Craig. Head nurse Craig. He is so wonderful. And I was just thinking about how when I had my explant, I told this story before, but the care that he gave me was so immaculate. In fact, I couldn't wash my hair. So raising my arms above my head because my implants they basically just scraped and burned my chest. I couldn't raise my arms, my elbows above my head. So just try that for a second. Like raise your elbows just to the shoulder level. I mean, like you can barely just touch your head. So I remember I needed to wash my hair. It was funky. And Craig got me by the sink and he washed my hair. He was so gentle and so loving. And one of the hardest things about doing that surgery was allowing him to take care of me. Like I remember there was something on the top of the fridge and I was like, I can reach. And I barely got my hand up and I was like, okay, that really hurt. So it was so humbling to really be in sickness or in health. I was really sick. I was not well. And allowing him to love me was such a big part of it. And I was thinking about that as I was making this episode and planning for it, but allowing him to love me, allowing myself just to fully receive that, it was such a thing to practice. And I feel like this hysterectomy is a great example of really not just a little surgery, like an actual organ will be removed from my body and allowing him to truly love me and not just love me from like a physical like taking care of me standpoint, but actually love me, because there's a lot of messages out there, y'all, around women, and we're only worthy because we have uteruses. And that's coming from the top. Okay. Sick. Anyway, but it's part of our culture that women are only valued because of our fertility and what we can do. And so I was really thinking about this episode and sharing this little piece around, this is such a initiation into a next level of fully being able to let myself be loved. Let myself be loved, to receive love, to be taken care of for exactly who I am, not for what I can do for my partner. So, and I think it's one thing to be aware of something, like we kind of can know that theoretically, and it's different when we are experiencing it. I would also say this is like knowing that we want to be secure in a relationship and then actually feeling secure. It's one thing to theoretically know in sickness and in health, and it's a different thing to experience that and walk through it. And this is also why information is nothing without the right application. It's nothing. So lots of love if you love listening to the podcast. In fact, keep listening to the podcast. But if you are feeling stuck and nothing's changing, then the problem isn't the information. You have enough of that. It's more about how are you applying that information. So just saying. All right, let's dive into how to stop trying so freaking hard. I know, first of all, let me I know, I can feel. I know how hard you work. I know how hard you work at your job. I know how hard you work at being a daughter or a son. I know how hard you work at being a great friend. I know how hard you work at your relationship. I know that. Okay. There's not a part of me that doubts that. And I also want to just say, this is not that relationships don't take work. Okay. Relationships do take work. I mean, to learn how to navigate conflict takes work together. And I'll tell you something, conflict in relationship is not only normal, it's necessary. We need to have conflict. We need to have different opinions, okay? Unless you're just literally dating a clone of yourself, then you're going to have different opinions. So I just want to be clear that I'm not saying that relationships don't take a level of work. Everything takes a level of work. You live in a house, and I don't care if you cleaned it top to bottom. In a couple of weeks, you're going to need to get it cleaned. I'm just speaking for myself, all right? So I know that you work hard, okay? I'm not saying that relationships don't take work. That's part of the deal. But what I am talking about is, how are you overworking? How are you overfunctioning in the relationship, in your relationship? And here's the thing. I know you're a high achiever, okay? I've got doctors, I've got nurse practitioners, I've got people in finance that are retiring early. Look, y'all, I know VPs of sales, like, you guys are amazing. I know that you know how to work hard, and you don't get a PhD. You don't get an NP. You don't retire early with the FIRE method at 30 something because it's a fluke. You know how to work hard. I know that you know you're smart, okay? And there's a lot in our culture right now, I hope it changes, that rewards grind culture, rise and grind, da. I totally get it. But while it might work in one area of our life, it does not work well in relationship, okay? And so a lot of times we tend to think, well, if I work hard, so if I chase them, okay, or working hard can be more of an internal thing. If you're more introverted, maybe you're like, I'm going to analyze the situation and make sure I say the right thing. I'm going to have a well-baked plan and how to say this, and I'm going to rehearse it. Or you perform. Ooh, that's when we perform being okay. I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm so cool. I'm chill. I'm a chill girlfriend. I'm low maintenance, right? That performance. And when we do that, the performance, the chasing, the overanalyzing, the illusion is that I'll stay safe. Okay. We tend to think with that is, if I work really hard, I show up and I go give 200%. Craig would roll his eyes at that because he's a math teacher. There's no such thing. But that the illusion is that you will stay safe. Now, here is the kicker with this, all right? Love needs freedom to choose. I'll say that again. Love needs freedom to choose. So if you are the one putting in all of the work, you are overfunctioning to the max. The thing is, love needs freedom to choose. So when you are doing all of the work and you remove their choice, right? You're just basically doing all the heavy lifting. You remove their choice and love starts to feel like an obligation. Ugh, yuck. Ugh. It starts to feel like an obligation. And obligation is the killer of love and security. Okay, it's the opposite, right? If we feel obligated, that is not the same as feeling love and feeling safe. So if you're functioning so hard, I know you know how to go hard, and you're functioning so hard in the relationship, you take away their freedom to choose. This is why you're like, oh, I just want to feel chosen. Well, yeah, no shit, because you're not giving them a chance to choose you, right? And so the key here is that a secure relationship, all right, a secure, healthy, long-lasting, feels safe, feels ooey gooey, to have a safe relationship, it does not require this constant frantic effort. I think frantic is also a great description, right? I'm gonna guarantee that you know what I mean. Like, okay, you feel like something's off. I gotta fix it. What's wrong? Tell me what's wrong. Are you okay? Are you mad? Or, tell me, are you okay? That franticness to make it better, to fix it, this constant, I gotta make it better. Nothing can be wrong. That's not a secure relationship, right? A secure relationship, love needs consistent self-regulation and presence. Okay. And I think that's an interesting contrast, because when I love language, I love how we interpret words. There's a difference between this feeling of I need to be constantly frantically working hard versus consistent self-regulation, consistently feeling safe within yourself and feeling present. Whew, I can just feel that. When I say it, I can really feel it, and I hope you feel it too. There's a huge difference. And every time you overwork, every time you overfunction in the relationship, you take away seeing them choose you. Straight up. Every time you overwork, you take away the opportunity, the chance for them to choose you. All right? That's just the truth. So, and also just overworking, it burns everybody out, not just you. I mean, the obvious thing is that you're working really hard. It's going to burn you out, but it's also exhausting for the other person. They want to show up. I mean, I have yet to talk to a one-on-one client where their partner isn't trying to show up. They're really trying to show up. But because you're kind of in your own whirlwind of fear and overworking and overfunctioning and trying so hard, and you're centering all of your attention on them, it's actually why in January, the trainings in the Healing Girl Gang are all around how to stop overly focusing and hyper focusing on them and start centering on you, how to decenter your relationship so you actually feel more connected. So when we are overworking, everybody's tired. Nobody's having fun. And the irony is you think you're preventing losing the love, but you are actually contributing to it. That's like kind of the irony, right? So you think you're preventing things by working hard, when really the harder you work, you're preventing them from being really able to show up. And the cool thing about the Healing Girl Gang is that women, the people that are inside, they learn to relax. That's the whole point. You learn how to relax. Again, I was thinking about what I said earlier. It's like, it's one thing to know that you need to relax, like have an awareness about it, but know how to actually do that while staying connected in your relationship is literally a totally different animal. And, what I love about the podcast is clarity is good. We want to have a clean windshield, right? To know where we're going. And the reps is where the change happens, right? It's like knowing that you need to go work out and like knowing that you should have a plan versus doing the workout, right? If you're doing the workout and you're doing squats and you feel it in your biceps, something is not right. So not that squats are bad or working the biceps is bad, but like something ain't right if you are feeling in a different way. And so that's why I made the Healing Girl Gang. And one thing that I was actually thinking about that with a girl in the Healing Girl Gang, it was so cool because we were talking about the detox and she was like, oh gosh, like this is the thing that I was supposed to work on today, which is in the detox in the overthinking detox, which is inside the Healing Girl Gang. There's micro steps that you can do to start to feel safer inside, to help self-soothe. And one thing that she was kind of mentioning was just she kind of knew this about herself, where she is a really hard worker, right? She is a director at a place that is top business company. Okay. I'll just say that. And she knows this about herself, that she works really, really hard. And it was so interesting to kind of watch her work through the fact that she was getting in her own way of a really sweet opportunity to connect with her partner. And it's so cool to see. It's so simple, but not necessarily always easy. That's why having support, having the practice in an environment where you have all the tools and the support there with you, it's really important. So just thought that was really cool to share around the difference between knowing and doing. Information's nothing without application. So I just want you to know that your pattern, this overworking pattern, this hard working pattern, first of all, it's not bad. It's not a bad part of you. And it is something that is a pattern, and your pattern doesn't define you, but it'll repeat without the practice to do something different. And one thing that you could just walk away with today is to learn how to lean back. What would it take for you to lean back? And if you are tired of trying really hard and learning how to relax, like gotta learn how to relax, and you want to reel them in closer, then the Healing Girl Gang is a great place to be. All right, angels, I'm sending you lots of love. Mwah.